I think we are live, Max.
Are we live? I'm checking on the YouTube. It looks like we're not live still, but it could be just a lag.
It could be just lag. I think it's a lag.
How will we know if we're live? I've seen Brandon sometimes ask. Oh, okay. We're now
We are
live.
live. We are
Yeah.
live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hello everyone, Blossom fans, Passive fans. If you're new to either of the platforms, thank you so much for joining us. We are excited to have you tuning in. My name is Reese. I am a team member here at Passive. I'm thrilled to be joined by Maxwell Nicholson, the co-founder and CEO of Blossom. Max, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's a sunny day out, nice and hot in the office, so can't complain.
Yeah. It's nice to be in the summer months. It's nice to be in the summer months and have that heat again a little bit. So
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna go for a run after this live stream. So I got my running shoes in the back. Go through a run through the park. So looking forward to that.
now you're in Vancouver, right?
Yes, yeah, in Burnaby technically. It's always funny when you go like abroad and you tell people, "Oh, I'm from Vancouver," and they're like, "Okay, wait, where are you actually from?" And then it's
Right.
it's like Coquitlam or something. So I got to be honest, I'm from Burnaby.
Yeah. No, yeah, we're on complete opposite sides of the country too. So we're Passive is based in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Maritimes, it is dark outside right now.
Oh
We're on
yeah,
the complete opposite other coast. So you're gonna go for a run, and I'm gonna go to sleep when this is over.
nice early bedtime, eh? It's 8 p.m., 8:30. I know you said you had some little ones, so I guess that makes sense.
I got no energy once the work is done. So all right. So for everyone who's tuning in, I'm so happy to be joined by Max. I want to tell you a little bit about Blossom. Blossom is an investment social app where people actually want to help you become a better investor. See what stocks others are investing in, learn from their ideas and insights, and get real-time notifications when they make trades. It's a fantastic app. I am on there. Over 20,000 people are on there. It is a great place to be. So I'm very excited to talk to Max about Blossom and the story and how it can help you and how it can help people become better investors. So Max, you ready to go?
Yeah, ready to go. And looking at the comments here, I see Burnaby represents. So yeah, go Burnaby. But yeah, let's get into it.
Burnaby represents. There you go. All right. So tell me how you came up with the idea for Blossom, Max.
Yeah, so it came to me in a dream one night. I was sleeping. No, I'm just kidding. The real answer, like I grew up, in a family, I think like many Canadians, right, with sort of very limited financial literacy. Like my mom, stay-at-home mom, my dad was like a welder, really didn't know much about, finances. And of course, grew up with education not really teaching us that much. You always have the classic stock picking competition. I think most people do in like grade 10 or grade 11. But
Right.
At that age, you're just buying degenerate stocks anyway. You're not really learning. And it's always in the course, like planning course that no one cares about. So yeah, I mean, because of that, like throughout that journey, I was saving through college, but went to the bank trying to figure out where I should invest in. The people there, I now know are glorified salespeople. They basically encouraged me to put it in this market linked GIC, which is like the worst possible product for, I think, like a 22-year-old at that point, because it completely caps your upside. And when you have a super long term, anyway, I won't get into the specifics of that, but bad advice, something that was high fees. They're trying to put me in it to benefit the bank because they get their commissions. And
taking advantage of a young person who might not have the financial literacy that they need to say no.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't think of the word, but I don't think it's malicious. It's more just these people working in these positions really don't know what they're doing, and they're right out of college as well, right? And so kind of going off worked for 2.5 years at McKinsey and consulting, and then wanted to go out on my own and start something, and saw that big problem of education, financial literacy in Canada, and sort of asked the question, like, how can we address that? And then chatting with my co-founders, the biggest thing that we saw was the difference between people who, get into investing at a young age and those who don't, is those who have the friends and the family and the community ultimately to talk to about that. So we were really thinking, how can we democratize that and build a community that anyone can join, anyone can learn and share knowledge, because that's what really makes it, much easier for people to get started and to start learning, is that sort of social community. So anyway, that's sort of the impetus for Blossom. And after that, I quit my job and started working on the app.
Right. So what was the first step you took? You had the idea and now you're like, I want to build an app. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I it's like, first I'm thinking of like the heist movies or whatever, where you like assemble the team. So when and assembled the team is sort of the first. You can picture like the montage of me running around
Ocean's 11, you going around picking up Brad Pitt and then Don Cheadle and all the guys. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So a good friend of mine, Anika, sort of came on board first. We kind of had that idea, talking about the problem together. And then, of course, we needed a technology guy to actually build it. And I had kind of a short list of 3 people who I thought would be really good fits. And my top choice actually was a guy named Kartik who lived in India. And I met him at a hackathon in Hong Kong when I was over there on exchange. And we had actually won this super nerdy like competition. You stay up 48 hours eating pizza, basically the most nerdy possible thing you can do. We actually won the competition. So that was 5 years back. And I always thought, okay, one day, him and I are going to team back up and do something together. And so Anika and I recruited him to join the team 2 years back. And then we got to start building. And he actually has never been to Canada, and he's coming to Canada for the first time July 12th for a month. And we're doing a tour across Canada, Calgary, Montreal, Toronto, as many people know. So it's really cool. Yeah. He's going to get to see all of Canada. So really excited to show him around.
Yeah, we will talk about that later. The investor social is happening, Calgary, Toronto, Montreal. You just had one in Vancouver. Great turnout. Passiv was a sponsor. So that's a really great. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I hope when Kartik gets here, he gets a warm welcome. We really need. We're really thankful for people like Kartik and yourself for building these great Canadian businesses. So I hope he gets a warm welcome and loves it here. So okay, now how does Blossom work? How does Blossom work, Max? Like if someone wants to get on Blossom and really understand where the value is, what are they going to get out of it? What is it all about?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Reese. And I see the comments on the side. A lot of other people from Burnaby and Linda from Vancouver Island, who I know is on the app on Blossom. And I think she knows I actually went to school on Vancouver Island in Victoria.
Cool.
But yeah, to answer,
is that it?
UVic, yeah, UVic boy. But yeah, to answer the question, I mean, so Blossom, probably a bunch of people watching maybe came from Blossom or came from the community, so they're probably already familiar. But at a super high level, social platform for investors. You can think of it sort of like a Twitter, mix between Twitter and Reddit. But what makes it really unique is that we link to investors' portfolios. So your profile is actually your portfolio, and it shares your profile of all of your holdings. Anytime you make a trade, that also gets posted automatically. Other people can see basically what you're investing in, what your friends are investing in. Of course, we got, I think Brandon Beavis was commenting up in the chat, and he actually just left the office here earlier. YouTubers like him also being transparent about what they're investing in. So really what we're trying to create, I mean, I could talk about the product. There's lots of really cool research features and all that sort of thing. But if you look at all of our reviews on the App Store, unsurprisingly, what people mention again and again is the community, right? Because the way I think about it is like our product and what we're building is really just there to enable the community. Like the community is where the real value is. And so, and as far as how it works specifically, I mean, you guys with Passiv, and one of the reasons we love Passiv is we actually use the same technology that Passiv uses for that broker connection. And I know you guys you have Passiv, which is a really cool portfolio rebalancing tool, which recommend everyone checks out. Then you guys also sell the technology that you built business to business. And so we work with you guys on that. And so you know, of course, how that technology works even better than I do. But
Yeah. So Snaptrade API, ultimately Passive and Blossom use that API to connect people to their brokerages and get that real time data, right? So that's how you can go in and see all your holdings, see your transaction history, and all sorts of things. And more importantly, like you said, with the community, it allows people to see what other people's holdings are, what trades they're making, and get that education, or even just get that inspiration and see like what are some of the top people, the top influencers in the space, in the finance space, what are they doing? So that would bring me to my next question. A big part, like you said, is the community, and a big part of the community is influencers, people who the community looks to for examples, for their expertise. And I have to say, Blossom has an all-star team of influencers on the platform that people can follow. You mentioned Brandon Beavis. He's at the top of the list. You've got Adrian, who's the Canadian in a t-shirt, Joy Yang. You have the Humble Trader. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how valuable is it having those people on the platform?
Yeah, I mean, incredibly valuable. And one funny thing I remember someone saying is we assembled the Canadian Investing Avengers, which I really love. And even so much, I took the work of trying to assign each of our ambassadors to a specific Avenger. And I remember distinctly, if anyone follows Canadian in a t-shirt, who's a really great YouTuber, I made a poll basically asking which Avenger he was. And one of the options was, Iron Man, Captain Canada, and then I had Ant-Man and someone else. And he messaged me and said, if I get Ant-Man, I'm no longer an ambassador for Blossom. And so he really didn't want Ant-Man. So I didn't give anyone Ant-Man, but he ended up being Captain Canada. But I think there's truth to that, right? I mean, I do think we have assembled sort of the dream team of ambassadors. And one of the things that we care a lot about when we're kind of picking those ambassadors is making sure that they're folks and they're creators who are actually have the best interests of Canadians in mind. Because there's a lot of YouTubers and financial influencers who essentially, once you get big as a finance influencer, what will happen is a lot of these like smaller like cap companies will basically offer you tons of money to like promote their stock. And that's why you see some of these influencers being like, this is going to be like the next stock to 10x and all of that. Like, more often than not, they're getting like paid to push that. And so it actually takes a lot of integrity for these influencers to not basically take those brand deals, because those are like the most lucrative brand deals. And if you look at Brandon's channel, he's never done one of those deals. And so,
well, and importantly, I think they have a lot of transparency as well.
Exactly.
Brandon is above board in terms of like, who sponsors his videos and who he works with, and it's not like he's pushing things that he doesn't believe in, or that he's not telling his followers who he's working with.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And there's nothing wrong with small caps. Like, I invest in some small caps and all that. Obviously, every company kind of starts as a small cap, but there's a lot of kind of bad apples in that space. And so, especially for beginner investors, I would say, stay clear. But then if you're following a creator and they're talking about it and you don't really know. Anyway, so that was very important to us, and huge shout out to Brandon as well for kind of assembling that dream team. I wish I could take credit for it, but really can't. We kind of had Brandon come on board, and he brought the team together. And it's amazing. Like, even at the event we had in Vancouver, we had Adrian out, Joey out, a bunch of these other folks, and having dinner together. Brandon's like the old wizard of investing YouTube. He's not that old, but even Adrian is like, wow, I've been watching you since even before he started YouTube, and it's really cool to see. So he's a big role model for all of them, and so he was really instrumental of bringing them all together.
Funny enough, Brandon's works with his dad, Mark. Mark is a part of his channel as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Mark is way worse than Brandon. Like, Brandon, infinitely more intelligent, smarter, everything. He paid me to say that, but no, I'm just kidding. No, Mark is great. Mark is like such a bubbly, friendly dad. Like, we flew to Omaha to go to the Berkshire Hathaway convention together, and he's the type of guy where we went to like the airport lounge, and he plopped down, and the people beside us, he's like, we're going to have a conversation. I hope you're ready to, like, he'll talk to anyone. He just loves meeting new people, and he's a really friendly guy. So no, both Brandon and Mark. I mean, it's always kind of funny when you watch like a YouTuber or a creator. Sometimes you meet them and they're like, oh, this person's awful. And I think all of the ambassadors, I've met them and be like, wow, this person's so genuine and like actually nice and just cares about, helping people. And so, yeah, We have a really good group.
Cool. All right. So I'm just going to throw it out there that there's lots of questions happening. There's lots of questions happening in the comments. We are going to do a Q&A in about 15 minutes, and we'll pull some of the questions out of here, and we'll try to answer as many of them as we can. So there will be an opportunity to ask those questions again if we're not able to come back to your questions. So rest assured, we will try to address as many of these questions as possible.
Although I do love the back and forth about Mark in the comments. Someone said he's old. So in Jason's defense, Mark is wise. And I see Brandon still tuned in here. So no, I was being playful when I was talking smack about Mark. Mark's great.
I mean,
but Brandon is better looking, I think.
You got to talk smack about your father. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
You got to do it. You got to do
exactly.
It. Okay. So I kind of jumped past, but how does Blossom work? So like, if I go on the platform, what would you say is the first thing that you can start with, the first thing that you as a user are going to be able to say like, oh man, this is so cool. Like Blossom is different from everything else.
Well, I think it's just the quality of the feed and the quality of the conversations. Like you scroll through the feed, you get a really high level of, what Canadians are thinking about, what they're talking about. You can ask questions if you have specific questions, and people are really helpful in answering those. And so that community experience, like same as Reddit, same as Twitter, what do people go to those platforms for? You don't really talk about the features or anything. It's, what's the community? What are those conversations like? So I think we have built, top-notch community in that sense. And then the other things, if you're getting started, you can go in and see what some of the creators have in their portfolios, like Brandon, like Joey, like Adrian, get a sense for, what those different portfolios might look like, what they're prioritizing, what they're investing in. And then we also have lots of other cool, aspects that are built on top of the community. Like we have these lists of what are the top energy stocks held by Canadians, what are the top technology stocks held by Canadians, just based on that data that we have. So we share that as well, like what are the most held stocks more broadly, and that's sort of that side. And then we also, on the flip side, there's kind of the community piece, and then we also have sort of a portfolio manager where, once you link your portfolio, you get a lot of different insights into that portfolio. And we just launched our pro version where you can get, sector analysis, dividend distribution, all kinds of really cool, deeper level analysis. So I think we built a good app. I'm pretty biased, but I think our reviews also would say the same. Like we got a 4.7 on the App Store, 4.8 on Google Play, which, I'm really proud of the team. And we release new features like every 2 weeks, which for anyone in tech, it's like absolutely wild how quickly we're releasing new features. So next up is dark mode. Which some of you probably already saw the post in the app, but dark mode is coming. I don't think this Monday, but the Monday following. Anyway, very soon.
Feed me, Max. I'm a dark mode user. I'm all about that. So I'm definitely gonna pop that onto my my Blossom as soon as it's there. So I think that I think you brought up a really good point. About Blossom. The thing that I love about Blossom is I can log in and I'm instantly being able to crowdsource what people are thinking, the latest trends, things that are happening, and how people are reacting to that. And like with their portfolios as well. It's not the kind of thing where you're, again, it's a big thing with the influencers. I think the best influencers are the ones who open up their portfolio and they will actually show you what they're holding, what they're trading, what they're doing, because they're putting their money where their mouth is. And that's sort of the thing about Blossom that I really like, is you can go in there and you can see in real time how the collective, the community are reacting to things happening in the market. And so that's the thing I love is like, there's so many social apps where you just kind of scroll and your brain turns off. And I find that I'm constantly stopping on Blossom, and I'm reading like everything because
Nice.
you're going like, oh man, that's smart, or that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. So that's I think a huge value of Blossom is really that ability to just to crowdsource like what people are thinking.
Yeah, I love that. You put it even better than I did.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But as a customer, that's how I would put it. So
Yeah.
now I guess one of the things is I want to like what do you think the future of Blossom is going to be? Like right now you guys are taking off. It's been just over a year since you launched, if I'm right.
Yeah, about a year and a half. We launched officially on the App Store a year ago, but then we had a bit of a private beta
I'm
before
gonna pop
that.
this up on the bottom so people
Oh
can
yeah,
see the website if they want to, and where
nice.
it's available. So
But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of short-term aspirations and then also long-term aspirations. So some of the things we're working on in the next couple months is the ability to like search in the feed, so you can search up like TFSA, find some of the top posts about TFSA, or search other different topics or categories. We're working on dark mode, as I already mentioned. The other big one is the ability to share a post off app. So let's say I find a great post, I want to send it to Reese. We currently can't do that, but that's actually coming live on Monday. So that'll be a really good feature. And in that sense, like we operate on, basically we take all of the feedback that we're getting from users. And I see Aaron mentioning around our support, both around bugs and also around, like, one of the things I'm really proud of with the team is we're super accessible. Like, you can message us on intercom. I am checking intercom, like just message all the time. And we take all of that feedback, and basically every 2 weeks we kind of think, okay, what should we build next? Like, we don't have this, big companies will sometimes lay out their whole year roadmap. And so they're not very adaptable to what the folks actually want. Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So for us, it's like, Gonzalo made a post. We got like 200 comments. We're going through it. Okay, what are people asking for? What do they want? And so that really helps direct what we're building. But on the bigger vision, one of the things that we're really working towards is becoming Canada's first social brokerage. So building the ability to actually trade, buy and sell stocks in the app directly. And I think that unlocks a lot of really, really cool value for us, because we can be really one-stop shop for those investing needs, and especially for beginners who are maybe starting out, the ability to join both a brokerage that also has a community embedded, I think is a really big value add, because they're able to learn from those, and it's much less intimidating to get started. So that's sort of our broader aim. And I think it's also a valid question I've seen some people ask before, like, okay, how does Blossom make money? Because are they selling our data or blah, blah, blah. It's like our like goal to make money is by becoming a brokerage, right? We have our pro as well. We've started to make early money from that, but we're a startup, right? Like, currently we're spending more money than we're earning. And the reason that we're doing that is because we have this bigger vision of, becoming this social brokerage. We're able to raise money from VCs, and we have some really great investors who've, believed in us and believed in our mission. But yeah, that's sort of our goal and what we're working towards. But it's a difficult goal. I'll also, there's a lot of regulation and everything you got to go through, which is good. I have my honors degree in economics. I know the history of money and banking. You get the 08 crisis. I'm not anti-regulation by any means. You see FTX, all these other crazy things. It's a good thing we have such good regulation in Canada. But it's a lot of hoops that we have to jump through to make sure that we're ready to go to enable trading on Blossom.
Wow, that's super cool. And of course, the trading functionality is another benefit of the SnapTrade API, which we allow users to we allow our customers and partners to make trades to the brokerages that their end users connect to. So that's kind of the direction you're going in, which is super, super cool and exciting for us, obviously at Passiv with the SnapTrade API and everything. So all right, we're about 5 minutes away from the Q&A. There's still some questions coming in, so we'll keep this conversation going until we're ready for the Q&A. So what is one of your favorite moments at Blossom? I guess it's like when you started building the platform, like what was the moment you said to yourself, like, man, this thing is really going to work. Like this is going to happen.
I know you sent me some of these questions beforehand, Reese, and I saw that one in my email, and I was like, I kind of laughed because I still don't know, right? It's still
Yeah.
early.
Yeah.
We're definitely further along, but with a startup, that's like the constant, keeps you up at night. Is this going to work?
Yeah.
Because I think what's clear is we have built something of value. We've built something that people really like and people enjoy. But then obviously the bigger question is, can you build a sustainable business out of that? And that's sort of what we're working on now, right? And so who knows? I obviously am a big believer that it's going to work, and I think that it's a huge opportunity. But there is still there's not been a moment yet where I'm like, this is definitely going to work, because you gotta stay on your toes. You gotta keep fighting, keep pushing it forward when you're a founder, and you can't ever rest on your laurels. But I think
that's a
definitely
good mindset to have, though. It's a good mindset to have, right? Like you really,
yeah, exactly. But I think like a couple moments that were really huge. Obviously, getting Brandon on board was massive. Our contract with BMO was really validating. Obviously one of the biggest banks in Canada, for them to partner up with us on the Learn and Earn, that was really huge. Our event in Vancouver was just incredible. There's something about like building the community as like an online community, and then which is, I think, powerful and obviously super, super important, and is able to reach so many more people when it's like a digital community. But then when you're able to bring, the 100 people in a room and you just see, wow, 100 people here, it just puts it into perspective of like, we have 25,000 Canadians on the app. That's like, 100 times, 250 times like what was in that room. And so that's wild. So anyway, whenever we get to meet the people in person and like shake hands with like each person and just hear their story, and it's like, wow, I feel like we're really impacting the lives of so many folks in a positive way, and bringing something that was like really badly needed to Canada. And so that was probably, those are 3 moments I'd say that were really good.
Yeah. That's validation. That's validation. Yeah. So quickly talk about the Investor Social. So you had the first one in Vancouver. The next one is in Calgary in July, right?
July, I think July 18th, but sometime in that week. I can't remember. We're still landing on a venue, so one of those days. And then early August will be Toronto and Montreal, and so really excited for those ones.
And now, how can viewers get tickets? How can they attend?
I mean, the best way would be just to download Blossom, because then you'll get the email when the tickets go live. Because we haven't posted them yet, but they'll be on Eventbrite, and if you guys are sponsoring again, I'm sure you'll send out the email as well. So
there you go. There you go. You're leaning on me.
Yeah. We have we're trying to get Reese and the team to sponsor again here, but it's in limbo. So leave a comment if you want Passive to sponsor that.
Is it getting hot in here? Okay, so we're at about half an hour now, so we can hop into the Q&A really quick. But just this has been a really easy conversation, but maybe we'll just like cut it with some quick one-word response game. Okay.
Cool.
I sent some of these to you ahead of time, but I blacked them out. So I don't know. Maybe you're tricky and we're able to.
I also didn't read them, so I have no idea what to expect here.
Perfect. I changed a few just to catch you up if you had.
Okay, great.
So I'm just you just respond with one word to each of these prompts. Okay. First thing that comes to mind.
I'm scared.
Favorite temperature.
Temperature. Oh, cold.
Cold, really? Wow, you are Canadian, eh?
I'm more productive when I'm cold.
That's fair. Okay. Favorite city?
Vancouver. Okay. Or Singapore. I love Singapore too.
Yes, you were just there recently. I remember we exchanged emails when you were in Singapore, I believe. So that's cool. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Ooh. I was supposed to answer fast. Flying was the first thing that came to mind, but I feel like that's a lame superpower. It's more of like a sport superpower, like adrenaline superpower, but I think I'd want something like reading minds or something, and something more. Yeah, I don't know. Let's go
never
with
have
flying.
a problem finding people that get on Blossom if you could read minds.
Exactly.
Yeah. Coffee or tea?
Coffee, definitely coffee. Iced
Crypto.
coffee.
Ooh, iced coffee. Yeah, well, we're in the summer now, so come on, you got it, right?
Yeah.
Crypto.
I'm not a crypto guy. I'd say, yeah, meh is my answer to crypto. You said one word answer.
That is right.
I can elaborate if you want, but
meh is good. I like meh. That's a good answer. Warren Buffett.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, you were just there.
I like Buffett. If you ask Munger, I'd say Bugman. Because me and Brandon were talking about Charlie Munger looks like a bug, in my opinion.
I mean, don't be so harsh on the guy. He's older than you think. I didn't even realize that he was as old as he is, but they've been doing it for a long time, man. So
definitely. No, I mean that in the nicest possible way, but he's just a goofy looking guy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next. Elon Musk.
I like Elon. I mean, I would say innovator.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you ate one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with I'm on the health train, so probably chicken.
Like just like straight chicken breast without any like
chicken breast. If it's like a health thing where but if we're ignoring the health reason, then probably sushi. Actually, sushi's pretty healthy too.
Sushi's pretty healthy.
So I'd go sushi. Sushi's the correct answer.
Yeah. I think I would probably go with sushi. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So now if we're going to do a Q&A here. So if anyone has questions, if you've already asked a question, feel free to ask it again. I'll scan back up through the comments here and just prompt Max with some of these questions here.
I can answer the TJ one if you want.
Go for it. Yeah.
So how much of the trading info on Blossom is S&P 500 stocks? Let me pull up. One of the things that I really like about Blossom and was actually surprising to me is how Canadian investors are. Like if you look at the top 100 stocks on Blossom, and I'll just kind of read some out. TD is number 1 Canadian stock. Enbridge is number 2. VFV, obviously S&P 500, but Canadian listed S&P 500. Yeah. TELUS, VDY, which is a Canadian ETF. HYLD, Canadian ETF. Bank of Nova Scotia, and then Apple, and then Manulife and Fortis. So like 8 of the top 10 are all Canadian. And even if you go down the list, like we love our Canadians, we love our dividend stocks, we love our financial stocks. And so it's definitely a very Canada focused community. If you're not from Canada, you'll still get value out of it. But that's one of the really cool things I think that a lot of people love about it is there's not a lot of people making like great Canadian focused products. And we get left out sometimes, I find.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So I think that again, it lends itself to the value of Blossom, right? Is giving people that access, that insight that they otherwise, might not have, right? So
yeah, I see I'll answer my dad at comments. I didn't know he was tuning in about mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes. For any of you, if you ever have turkey dinner and you don't have mashed potatoes, you're not doing it right because mashed potatoes, gravy, ooh, so good.
Who doesn't have mashed potatoes with their turkey dinner?
I don't know.
That's a weird one.
I wouldn't trust them. I wouldn't touch
them with 10-foot pole, man. All right, so we got any other questions in here? Starman Rules. Will you be creating a desktop app eventually?
Sorry, I also see Brandon's comment of LOL at chicken. Terrible answer, which is true. Reese has put me on the spot here. Okay, I was caught off guard, trying to be cool, but yeah. But no, if there's Starman Rules, the desktop app, definitely coming. The thing with the product side is as soon as you develop a desktop app, everything becomes like almost doubly as complicated. So if we want to release new feature, we have to design it for desktop and design for mobile. Also our team, we've built the app. One of the reasons that it's smooth is we've built it in the native languages of the devices. So iOS has a development language called Swift. Android has development language called Kotlin. If you're building on there is one React which covers all three, which works on iOS, Android, but it's not as smooth. And so we built it native to each of the platforms. And so our developers, actually, we would basically need to hire a new developer to build the desktop app because it would be in a completely different coding language. So it's definitely coming.
Whole other specialty,
Yeah, but that's probably like 6 to 12 months down the line, to be completely honest. But we'll try and it won't be all or nothing. Like we're trying to build ways where you can read posts on desktop, even if you don't have all of the functionality. And so I definitely understand the need for desktop, even for myself, like trying to read these posts. Some people just prefer desktop, right? So yeah, that it's definitely a priority.
You got Muta here. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm sorry.
Zuckerberg vibes,
Zuckerberg vibes there.
Speaking of that, I like so need to like change my LinkedIn photo, and also the photo that you used to like promote this. I like have such a like wannabe Steve Jobs vibe going on. Yeah. But it's like almost like, I don't know if anyone knows Elizabeth Holmes. It's almost like a wannabe Elizabeth Holmes. I'm like, I don't want to get associated with that. So I do think I look good in a turtleneck, but I think the turtleneck, the glasses, it's just too much. I need a new photo.
At least you're speaking in your own natural voice. Then if you were putting on a fake voice, then I'd be a little bit like,
you don't know that. Maybe.
That's true. That's true. Maybe you're an incredible performer, Max.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, which other ones do we want to?
We got I think Aaron.
Oh, Ethan. I mean, I'll answer Ethan. That's the same thing. The desktop versus that was same thing was why we didn't do dark mode, because as soon as you do dark mode, then you have to design everything for both dark mode and light mode. But one of the reasons, so we had Emily Chan join us, and Gonzalo. So Emily's our product design intern. She's incredible. Gonzalo also sort of product lead, doing a great job. Basically what they found was like the way that, so I was like the original designer for the app because we had a design agency that we hired. And for any of you who've hired agencies or are starting your own startup, what you find is they'll sometimes they'll be like, this took 5 hours. I'm like, no, it didn't. There's no way that took you 5 hours. And so I taught myself how to do Figma and learn design so that I could just do it myself. I'm like, this took me an hour and you're billing me like 5 hours for it. This is bullshit, right? And so learn how to do Figma, but I'm not a great designer. And so then when we had Gonzalo coming in, he basically cleaned up all my designs, made them way better. Yeah. And I fought him on it at first because you have a bias. You're like, oh, these are my designs, they're great. But eventually I was like, no, you're right, these are all better. But one of the things that I did was, if you have like a consistent color library, like you have like 10 colors or something in your app, it's much easier to swap those and do a dark mode. Versus mine was so messy and I had 30 different colors and there were different shades of teal here and there and stuff. So it was way harder to implement dark mode. So they basically cleaned that up for me.
There's it's like you do the design yourself, because if you have a good, like a decent competency, you can churn stuff out that's good. And then you meet a real designer, and you're just like, oh right. This person spent like 10 years doing this, and I spent maybe the last 10 days trying to like YouTube it and doing a decent job. It's still, designers are worth their weight in gold.
Gonzalo named all our layers. Yeah, my files were a mess, absolute mess. So,
that's one of the first tricks you learn once you start doing like design stuff, right? You start like you actually properly layering, naming layers, locking layers, and you're just like, oh man. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Do you want me? I can take two more of these here.
Go for it.
The more product specific ones to answer quick. So, Desjardins, Manulife. So I think someone asked about TD, RBC, all of that. So we're actually very reliant on Snaptrade and the technology that Passiv does for our brokerage connections, because we use their technology, same technology Passiv uses, company called Snaptrade that basically built that broker linking. And I know it's kind of your guys' timeline. I know you're working on TD. I know you're working on RBC. I know all these other ones are in your roadmap, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Reese, but that one's sort of dependent on you guys, but we're obviously eager to support more and more.
Yeah, no, Snaptrade's working on all these new integrations. Some will be released this summer and some in Q3, Q4, and then others in 2024. A lot of it is based on the needs of our partners like Blossom and what their end users are asking for. So yeah, we're excited to roll those out. It's going to be really, it's going to be great to see the benefit that it has for partners like Blossom, like getting more users on the platforms because they're with those brokerages or those banks.
Yeah.
So we're pretty excited with that.
Awesome. Yeah. And then the quickly Phil's question around geography breakdown, that's something we're already working on. We already have sector breakdown, which is really cool, and dividend allocation breakdown. You can see which of your stocks contribute most to your dividends. But then geography breakdown, that's something Brandon's been pushing for a lot as well. So I know that's coming, and actually wouldn't be too difficult for us to build. So it's just a matter of sneaking that into the plan.
Cool. All right, we got some other questions in here. I don't know. You seem to be running.
I'm sorry, I'm stealing all your
This
thunder.
is my show, Max. This is my show.
I'm sorry, Reese. We got to flip it. You answer the questions even better than me about Blossom, so I'll start asking.
Okay. Joy is asking, Max, any tech CEOs you look up to? I'm going to answer for you now.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Who do you think?
I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like it's someone that like most people don't know. I feel like maybe you're like a contrarian, like maybe you go with somebody that isn't like as big or as public and you like admire them for something, that not a lot of people know about. Is that?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we talked about Elizabeth Holmes earlier, and I would say she's my number one. The way she just scammed the entire American public, and no,
controversial answer.
Although Bad Blood is an incredible book about Theranos and that whole corporate scam. It's actually an incredible read, just purely fascinating. But I would have to say my answer is probably Michael Cashin, the CEO of Wealthsimple, for a couple of reasons. I think for one, just the innovation he's brought to Canada has been incredible. Like mad respect for Wealthsimple. He's also ex-McKinsey, which is where I used to work. Young guy, started Wealthsimple. I think he was a little older than I was when I started. I'm 26 now, started when I was 24. I think he was around 25, 26 when he started. But yeah, just incredible founder, bringing like much needed innovation to Canada and really making like a Canadian company that hasn't just ditched and gone to the US, which a lot of them do. But what about you, Reese? What would your answer be for that question? I don't want to take all the airtime here.
I mean, I don't really look up to CEOs. It's not my like. It's not really my role. I'm in the marketing space, and so.
Yeah, you're just you're too embarrassed to say that it's me, and so you're.
That's right. It's actually Brandon.
Brandon.
Max. It's Brandon. Okay. Now that one of the things I really like to do, and this is it's kind of an example of what Blossom does for investors, but LinkedIn is a fantastic platform for professionals to go on there and look up like influencers and people who are just like handing out great content for you to like learn from. So I look up to a lot of people on LinkedIn. That's where I go. It maybe not even necessarily CMOs a lot of the time. It's just people who are content creators or building their own platforms on LinkedIn, and they just share tons of great content on there. So like now my whole LinkedIn feed is basically just people who are just feeding me like marketing tactics, marketing, content marketing, copywriting tips. And I just go through there all the time and get new ideas. And those are the people I look up to now.
That's cool. My LinkedIn feed is the opposite. I hate LinkedIn. I find all my LinkedIn feed is just these like annoying wannabe LinkedIn influencers who use that like same format to post. So we need to swap LinkedIn sometimes, Reese. I must have messed up my algorithm at some point, and now I have just all the like Ty Lopez's of the world who are trying to like get me to. Anyway, yeah. So I see Muter saying the F to be completely to settle the waters. It was a joke saying that Elizabeth Holmes was my she's like pure evil, but That's my sense of humor. Sometimes I like saying random stuff to keep people on their toes.
Well, as long as somebody didn't tune in right before that
Right.
question and then left right after, you're probably okay.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That Max guy, he's got some crazy ideas.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right, is there any other questions out in there that you're itching to answer?
Redeemed here the data being transparent to everyone using the app. So if you're looking at your own portfolio, you can see your dollar amounts, you can see everything. If other people are looking at your portfolio, they can only see your percentage breakdown.
Right.
So if I'm looking at Reese, I can see his holdings, his like pie chart portfolio, but I don't know whether he has $1,000. I don't know whether he has $100,000. So that is hidden because, that people are, not comfortable sharing, but we find most people are comfortable sharing, what they're investing in. And we really do push for that transparency because, I believe it makes us better investors when we do share, when we are open. But you can also use the app without sharing. It's not like a requirement that you must link your brokerage. And if you're not comfortable linking your brokerage, you can add your stocks manually. If you're not comfortable with that, you can just sort of be a participant to look on and check out what other people are doing. But we do encourage like the transparency is a big part of like our value as a company. So, the more people sharing, the better, right? Because it really promotes that we're all in this together kind of thing.
Well, I mean, transparency and security are a huge part of the financial space, right? Like we're working with people's investments, with their holdings. Like it's not something you just hand over to people. And so I think that, I think Blossom's done a fantastic job of it, especially with the influencers that you work with the Brandon Beavises of the world and Adrian and Adriano and Joey and Humble Trader Shay and everything. Like I think it lends a lot of social proof that it's a place that they can trust and a place that they can go to share that information and not feel like they're at risk, right?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions popping in here?
Is the story behind naming Blossom and designing the logo? That's a good question.
I saw that one. I was going to ask that.
I almost don't want to mention this because I don't want people to like see it when they see the logo. But there's this one review on the App Store which still irks me to this day. We get so many amazing reviews and lots of 5 stars and everything, but there was one person who gave 4 stars and they said, "Great app, change the logo. It looks like a period tracker." And I'm like, what do you even mean by that? So I don't see it. I hope other people now, after I say that, don't see it. I love our logo. I think it's great. We got the cool hats that I'm always rocking and that Brandon always rocking. I love our hat. But the story behind the name,
you got your neon the neon
sign.
light.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the logo because it kind of is like a flower with like a portfolio in the middle. Is kind of what the logo was. Mm-hmm. But Mary Dell, the name behind the story behind the name actually comes from Anika, our co-founder and COO. One of the things when we kind of started Blossom on the theme of making investing more accessible that we kind of started talking about was, why is there still this big gap between the percentage of men who invest and the percentage of women who invest? And that's kind of what started us on the path to thinking about this problem, because we realized, okay, like, because of that, history where investing was much more male dominated, that sort of trickled down to today, because you have more men who were investing before. And then since it's so community based and what your friends are talking about, what your family's talking about, that sort of passed down as well to today. And so that social piece was really important. And Anika said, I don't have friends who are talking about investing, versus me. I had lots of friends who are talking about investing. And, after we chatted with a lot of people, it was like a very shared experience that a lot of people had. And so when we that was an initial problem that we were trying to solve. And the name she actually came up with, because I think Blossom is one of like the Powerpuff Girls. So she threw it as like a super random, like, maybe this is a good idea. And then we were like, hey, that's excellent. Like, it's completely unrelated to how it came up. But I was like, I kind of like Blossom because, growing wealth, all of those sort of things that come around with growing and everything. It seemed like it was well suited to an investing app, but it's from the Powerpuff Girls. So that's the random story behind the name.
No, I love it. I mean, I think it's a great name, great brand. I think that's exactly what I think of when I look at it, when I hear the name, is Powerpuff Girls, 100%.
Now it is apparently now with Lena Marydell. God damn it! Now they're saying they can't unsee the period tracker. So I shouldn't have shared that story, but I thought it, make the live stream a bit more interesting. That's
I was wondering why you were saying it as it was coming out of your mouth, Max. I was like, don't do this.
It's okay. Where can we get the merch? Well, actually, I think we're planning to create like a little like merch store on the website, and it'll all be at cost because we're not trying to like make money on the merch. But that way we're going to do it in a way where we don't have to like keep the inventory, because that's such a big pain for us. But find one of those companies where when you order it, we can just have them, print it and send it, and then just do it at cost. And then we'll also be basically having merch at like giving away prizes and stuff at the Calgary, Toronto, Montreal meetups. But I was thinking it would be cool to have like hats or something that are based on like not just like the Blossom logo ones, but more just like investor kind of merch, like hashtag like buy VFV or anyways, something like that. Like I feel like people might be into that.
I'm kind of amused that Norm of all people is asking about the merch. Like he needs to go get it. I mean, just call up your son, Norm.
I don't give my parents the merch because you gotta have cool looking people rocking the merch. My old dad's walking around, it devalues the brand, right?
Hey, your father raised the CEO and a co-founder. Watch it.
Just from a pure style perspective, but we got the bat. We're playing around with a bunch of different slogans and stuff. We had the slogan, "It's not luck" on something. It's not the company slogan, but some merch slogan, because it's like kind of saying like, investing is not luck, being a founder, all that's not luck. It's research, hard work, all that kind of stuff. But so that's what the back of this one says. Oh, and I found it's actually my mom commenting. So hashtag only funds. That's a funny. That's a funny one. If anyone else has good merch ideas here, feel free to throw them in the comments.
Here's a question. Maybe like I was going to ask you maybe a current events type question, and LG is asking, what are your thoughts on the announcement about the Apple Vision Pro? I know like all around our office, people are talking about it. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. So I would almost consider myself an early adopter of VR. I got the Oculus like pretty early on. And I did give it an actual go with the work side. Like, so one thing, there's no question about it. I think VR is the future of gaming, in my opinion.
Yeah,
totally. Gaming experience in VR, so cool, so much more immersive. But that's like the question of whether it's actually going to change the world. Sure, it might change gaming. Is that going to change the world? Like, that's the open question to me. And so with that, it's like, okay, working like on a Zoom call is kind of like one of the feature sets that they mentioned. And sorry, not just gaming, also entertainment. I think like most people would agree that a lot of those use cases around like the tabletop sports replay, all of that, that's really cool. But as an industry, that's much, much smaller versus if you're trying to, actually change just the entire, like if you're trying to replace the iPhone, that's a much bigger, or the computer, which is kind of how they're branding it, spatial computer. That's a much bigger ask. And Oculus trying to work in there, way too heavy, way too bulky. The bigger screen, to me, it's like it's more inconvenient to have this thing on your head than to just have the dual screen and kind of be out in the real world. I think Apple did a really good thing by making it like glass so you can see out of it. I don't know how well that would work, but one of the things with the Oculus is you do feel much more trapped. I think the biggest like barrier to adoption of VR is obviously price point and making it smaller. But that said, like you do look at the iPhone, the one point in favor is like the iPhone's gotten smaller and smaller. Like there was a time when the iPhone wasn't possible and it was like your computer in your pocket, or even with the iPod Nano, 1,000 songs, 10,000 songs in your pocket, something that was never possible before. So I think the biggest question is how fast will that technology develop so that it doesn't need to, so that they can make the size go in half, the weight go in half, all of those different things. That's sort of my perspective on it. So it's like, that's the open question, is how fast that can happen. I do think it will happen eventually. Like, give it 20 years, 40 years. Like, why wouldn't, if you could just have like an actual pair of like glasses, like, and it wasn't like the glasses you're wearing, Reese, and it had like all of that packed in. Like, I think that would replace the iPhone, because which is like a more natural thing for humans, like hunched over looking at a phone, or like looking out at the world with glasses. So anyway, that's my thought. I think it is the future to some extent, but it's just the question of how quickly it's coming.
It'll make being out in public even more awkward than like Bluetooth already has, where like you'll just walk by someone and be like, hey, and you'll be like, and they're talking in their microphones because they got the buds in. You're like, what is happening? Now it's just people with glasses on. Like, are they talking to me? I don't know. Are they looking right at me?
Yeah. So that would be weird for sure.
Yeah. 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 The only thing I hope with Apple is like, it's one of those things with all the screens are so breakable. You have you have to invest in a case now too. So it's like, I'm assuming that with VR, if they want to go in that direction where it's going to be glass, like that's just such a
fragile.
Fragile. Like, you know, so are you going to need to get like a case for your, and then the problem is like,
Reese, I love that you're worried about that part of it.
Yeah, like, no doubt.
I can just imagine you in the office, everyone's talking about it. You're like, but what about the case though? And then
am I going to have to buy an Otter Dog for my, my Apple Vision Pro?
Yeah. You're gonna start the first company that makes like Otter boxes for the Vision Pro.
There you go.
And become a multi-billionaire.
My issues are practical issues. That's
great.
Is. Yeah.
That's think different, just like Steve Jobs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we're nearly at the top of the hour, so I just wanted to quickly let everybody know also, thank you so much for joining. Everyone who is on this call has 4 days they can redeem with this referral code and get our Passive Elite for free for their first year. So you'll be able to use the platform to invest your cash or your dividends, rebalance your portfolio, take control of your portfolio again, and kind of become more confident in your ability as an investor, be more organized, save time and money, all that great stuff. So everyone who's on this live chat can use this referral code and do that. Max, is there anything you want to plug about maybe the investor socials, or just encourage people to download Blossom, or what?
Well, I'll give a quick plug for Passive. I mean, that's really cool. I didn't know you guys are. I misread that. I thought you were saying you get 4 days for free, and I was like, that's not a really good deal.
No,
4 days to get a year for free. And if you use Questrade, I think you guys have a really cool deal with Questrade, where it's actually completely free if you use Questrade, and Questrade actually pays you guys. So Questrade is basically paying for you to have access to Passive, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah. Questrade is essentially paying for you, the user, to get Passive, right? So if you're a Questrade user, you can get Passive Elite trading functionality. The one-click trading functionality allows you to make all your trades at one time. It's all free. Questrade's paying for you to get it. So it's a great offer for everybody else who might be users of Wealthsimple, or any Americans who are on here. We've got American brokerages. Some of our European brokerages they're connected to. You can redeem this and get Elite for free. So
yeah, that's cool. But no, I mean, nothing. I mean, if folks aren't on Blossom already, definitely check it out. That's pretty much my plug. You can find us Blossom Social. Is probably the best thing to search on the App Store or Google Play. As we mentioned earlier, it's the one that looks like a period tracker. Should be. You can't miss it.
And it again, Max.
I'm leaning into it now. This was fun. Reese, thanks for inviting me to do this, and lots of great questions. Fun chat.
Yeah, no, it was our pleasure. We're big fans of Max and Blossom, so I encourage everybody also to download it. And thank you so much for joining us for Passive Talks. We'll see you for our next episode, everybody.
Cool. Cheers, guys.
All right.